Within the last 15 minutes, the Browns have fired their head coach, Hue Jackson. Just 3 wins over the last 2.5 seasons and a public power struggle with his offensive coordinator, Todd Haley. So for more, Adam Schefter and Ryan Clark join myself and Jay Harris. This is something that Jackson was forced to actually address after the loss yesterday. And Adam, I know that you're furiously typing on your, I'm trying to get information on who's going to be the interim. Actually, we have Haley there. We have Gregg Williams as the defensive coordinator. But what light can you shed on the situation?
Well, look, if you go back and look at the history of this, Hue Jackson had not won a road game as a head coach. And there were questions about whether he would continue on as the head coach this year when John Dorsey was brought aboard as the general manager. So they had a new front office step in. And the new front office inherited the old coaching staff. And the new front office wanted to do things its way. But Jimmy Haslam was a fan of Hue Jackson and helped convince the current front office to give Hue Jackson a chance to basically see how it would work out before they ran him off. Now, if you look at Hue Jackson, his record there in Cleveland is 3-36-1. 3-36-1.
Over 2.5 years.
He has not won a road game. There have been issues with the staff. Anybody who saw Hard Knocks this summer got a glimpse of the friction that existed. There was talk that it was going to happen last week after the loss last week. And
when he said he was going to assume some of the play calling.
Yes, but before then, before he even said that, the issue was there. They lost to the Steelers yesterday, the same team that they tied earlier in the year. This team looked like it had regressed rather than progressed. And so basically, this is a situation where they decided to make this change. They fired Hue Jackson this morning. He's got this year and next year left in his contract, which the Browns are going to be paying off another head coaching contract. Nothing unusual there. That's their standard history. And it also, interestingly enough, is the 6th straight Cleveland head coach who was fired after the second Steelers game of the season.
I saw you tweet that earlier today. That's odd, interesting. Ryan, what do you think of the decision now?
Well, I think the decision could have been made earlier. Obviously, you heard Adam talk about the love that Jimmy Haslam had for Hue Jackson. And I think when you get a new GM and you get new execs, they want to bring in their own guys. And so you watch this season, this team looked promising very early on in the season. And I think they wanted to see progress. They wanted to see this team continue to compete. They wanted to see Baker Mayfield and this offense get better, and they have it. And then you watch all the off-the-field stuff. When every press conference he has to answer questions about Todd Haley, you can see the friction on the staff. And I think it got to be a little bit too much for a guy like John Dorsey who wants to see structure and order in this organization.
So when Todd Haley was brought in, he apparently was given latitude. Hue Jackson was on board with Todd Haley coming in, but they were at odds on how to use Baker Mayfield, the pace of the offense, what to do. And you've got this franchise invested in Baker Mayfield, and now his progression is stunted by this division within the coaching ranks.
And Hannah, that's the whole issue at its core. Again, aside from the fact that Jimmy Haslam wanted them to keep Hue Jackson, aside from the fact that it was a new front office, there is nothing that is more important to this franchise right now than the development of Baker Mayfield. So basically, you've got a situation there where they had to do everything that they can to make sure that Baker Mayfield head down there grows the right way. And so they believe that this is a move that will help get them on track.
So Jackson felt that Haley was not taking his input in terms of how to use Mayfield and even which running backs he thought should be getting more rushes. From what you've seen of this team, do they need to go in a different direction with Mayfield? Does that offense need to make some tweaks? Because as you pointed out on many occasions, they've been very close to winning more games.
Maybe it's a different story.
No, listen, absolutely, but that's football, right? There's so many teams that can say, missed field goals. The Buffalo Bills could say we would have a Super Bowl if it wasn't for a no-wood missed field goal. And so those things happen. But what you want to do is see Baker Mayfield, a guy with a high completion percentage, complete passes. You don't want to see him throw the interceptions. You don't want to see him get beat up the way he's getting beat up. When your young rookie star quarterback has to answer questions about the punishment that he's taken. That's not what you want as a coach. And we all know that Baker Mayfield isn't a big body, Ben Roethlisberger, Blake Bortles type of body, and you don't want to see him take this type of pounding.
Well,
and I think
Tyrod Taylor started the season, so we weren't supposed to see Baker.
Right. Well. The problem is, I think this thing it's not been mishandled, but for Baker, it's been tumultuous since he's gotten there. You know, you come in, you don't know if you're starting, you don't know if it's a true quarterback competition. You finally win the competition, and now you have the turmoil between coaches, which doesn't allow you to progress.
So who's the best coach for this team? I know that you're trying to find out at this point who the
Well,
interim is. You have Gregg Williams sitting here, and you have Todd Haley, who has head coaching experience.
Just a guess. I mean, I don't know anything right now, but I would guess that they would turn to a senior voice like Al Saunders, who's on staff, who's got previous coaching experience, and let their respective coordinators continue to do their job while they obviously conduct a more intensive search to be the head coach. And whoever they bring as the head coach next, the interim guy is most likely not going to be the head coach.
Who's going to make the call? Because you said Haslam made the call.
Haslam's and John Dorsey. This is why.
So is John Dorsey going to make the call? Are they on the same page?
They'll figure it out together in one form or another to get that done. But essentially, they'll hire an interim head coach. A guess would be Al Saunders. Again, that way each coordinator gets to control his position. And then this team can now begin, right now, its search to find a new head coach, which, again, it gets a head start. The Browns, once again, are the first team to fire their head coach.
This ain't new.
Not new. They get to start their head coaching search on October 29th for the 2019 season. That's what we're talking about, and they could be ahead of it at this point in time, and we'll see how that shakes out.
When you get some news, get back to us. The other thing, though, Hard Knocks. You know, they chose to do Hard Knocks, and that put all of this out in the public. And so the questions were asked, you know, right from the get-go this season. It was obvious that the personalities weren't meshing. So, you know, maybe you think twice about doing something like that and exposing everything that's going on with your team.